Alright everyone, welcome to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be looking at the Kadena price as I normally do, Kadena versus the US dollar. But towards the end of the video, if you do stick around, I'm going to be showing you the most important chart that I believe every altcoin holder should be using at this moment in time to measure the value and price of their altcoin. So let's jump right into the video. We'll be starting off with Kadena versus the USD. I'm going to hop over to the higher time frames before we do jump in. I'm going to clear up some of the drawings on here just so I can very much emphasize the fact that this entire uptrend on Kadena, at least from a Fibonacci perspective, no matter how low you draw it, has been invalidated. Very, very unfortunate. You can see textbook uptrend, blow off top, you come down to the 786, you bounce from the 786, you bounce up to the 618 Fibonacci. Getting rejected from your 618 Fibonacci is basically a textbook trend reversal pattern. You lollygag on the 786, you break below it, and not only have we got exponential selling volume going into this, but the price is massively dumping week over week over week. The fact that, in my opinion, this is an uptrend best defined by the weekly time frame, the fact that we've had multiple weekly closes, even potentially monthly closes. Have we had a monthly close? We've had one monthly close below this. So in my opinion, the uptrend on Kadena is undoubtedly completely invalidated. And I've been talking about this for, the past month or so, over a month now actually. We started talking about KDA all the way back here. If you have been watching me since the 8th of April, you know that we've been sitting on the sideline for Kadena since $6.50, while some YouTubers have been shilling it, saying Kadena to the moon, Kadena to $100 in the next couple of months. People have been shoving KDA down your throat, making you exit liquidity. The Cowboy family, we've been sitting on the sidelines, being conservative, recognizing that we're in a downtrend and waiting for this trend reversal to happen, because we're not macro bears. We simply look at the data, we realize we're bearish, and we want the best price. So like I said, we flip bearish at $6.50. If we break out, we might be buying a breakout trade at $3, $4. That's a much better price than when these YouTubers have been shilling it down your throat. So looking at this on the weekly time frame, the fact that we are exponentially dropping in terms of price and the bearish volume is exponentially increasing is a very telltale textbook sign that the downtrend is not over. If you look up at your momentum indicators, once again, bears are in full control of this downtrend at the moment in time. They are running out of a tiny bit of momentum, but the fact that this is kind of taking a decent amount of time to taper down just kind of tells me that they're taking a breather. And you hop into the daily time frame and you can really see the Kadena bears rather, they love taking breathers, they love pushing things down, taking a break, pushing things down, taking a break, pushing things down. And every time we do have a break, it's more of the bulls trying to push us back up into these EMA ribbons and getting a rejection. So we've never really been bullish in the past couple of months. We've really been bearish the whole time, and this is something that we've been pointing out. We've been waiting for lower price targets, and thank God we have, because since we started making videos on Kadena, I've been telling you every day the trend is your friend and we're sitting on the sidelines. The price is 66% cheaper, and at one point we were down here at 80% cheaper. So it's very nice to be sitting on the sidelines and waiting for these lower price targets. You look at this on the daily, you can basically see since the all-time high we've been very bearish. Now we did try and flip these, but we back tested. This is the point where you want to take out the invalidation point and break above. You did not do that. This was a fake out. You can see we've done it many times. You have a push up, you come to back test, you don't break above the invalidation point. That is a textbook failed retest. We did it here as well. We broke above, went for the back test, didn't break above the invalidation point. Textbook failed retest. Now what have we been doing since then? You just keep on bouncing, making low lows, getting rejected from your EMA ribbons and breaking down. So the trend is your friend until the end. If you're trying to DCA this, then you're going against the trend, and that is not a smart idea in my opinion. The past 2 days we've seen a tiny bit of volume coming in as people try to buy up the price. KDA is actually up 6% on the day, and I do not think this is going to hold out for much longer. You hop over to the weekly time frame, you can really see it is predominantly bears that are controlling this trend at this moment in time, and we've seen this before. You've seen tiny bits of volume coming in as we do try and retest these EMA ribbons, but every time you know, recently we haven't even been making our way fully up to these. So I do expect for lower price targets to keep on coming into play on KDA. At this moment in time, 4-hourly EMA ribbons, the squeeze mom on your momentum indicators is trying to flip over, but you know, we've seen this time over time again, where we simply come into your 4-hourly EMAs and we get a bearish retest of them and we roll back down. So seeing a tiny amount of momentum coming in on your squeeze mom is not something that I would take to the bank, especially on the 4-hour. I'd be focusing on the daily. You can clearly see higher time frames bears are taking control, snatching the momentum out of the bull's hands, and I really think the bears are kind of just, you know, probably chilling up at the beach, popping some champagne with their profits from being bearish on KDA the past couple of months. And this weekend pump, in my opinion, is going to be very short-lived. Like I said, 4-hourly EMAs, it looks like we're kind of emming out to the bottom of these. I will imagine that a breakdown would be happening at some point in the next couple of days, if not in the next week. But like I said, the beauty of this is we will be waiting to buy a breakout trade at some point in time. I'm actually not looking to pick up altcoins at this moment in time, and I'll explain why in a moment. But you can kind of see until we flip above these regions, then there's absolutely no reason to be bullish whatsoever on KDA, because we're in a huge downtrend. The trend is your friend until the end. If you tried to catch the falling knife a week ago, you got slaughtered. If you tried to catch the falling knife 2 weeks ago, you got slaughtered. If you tried to catch it a couple of months ago, you got absolutely slaughtered. So be very careful buying what you consider to be the bottom, while the trend is very much clearly in a downtrend. Until we flip these EMAs, nothing has changed. We're going to keep on getting lower price targets every time we get rejected from the EMAs. So if you truly are a KDA bull and you understand how trading based on these momentum indicators works, then surely it makes sense to just sit on the sidelines and forget about DCAing, because as soon as you flip these EMAs, you can enter a trade, and the longer and longer it takes to flip, then the lower and lower the prices. And like I said, you could have assumed the bottom was here and here and here and here. You could have bought the exact bottom on all of these dips, but if you did not wait for the trend reversal, then you got absolutely slaughtered every single time you bought the dip. And that is assuming that you bought the exact bottom to the exact cent. You got slaughtered because you did not wait for the EMAs to flip. So be very cautious on jumping in too quick, because the cowboy family, like I said, we've been on the sidelines since 650, and even if we break out, you know, boo-hoo, we missed the first 10% of the rally, we buy at, you know, $3, that's still more than 50% of a discount than when we started recording videos on KDA. So what is this most important chart that I've been talking about in all of my videos? And before I do jump into that, I'm going to shamelessly shill my Twitter. If you do want to follow me over on Twitter, it is here at 618_cowboy. I do share time sensitive information. I share memes. I share, you know, talks about crypto. I share NFTs, artwork, all of that different type of stuff. So if that is your cup of tea, down here at 618_cowboy is my Twitter. So like I promised, let's jump into the most important chart, which I believe all altcoin holders should be using to evaluate the price of their altcoins, and that is going to be looking at Kadena versus the BTC pair. Now, a lot of people look at the USD pair and not the BTC pair, and they're missing a massive part of the market if you're not looking at all of these time frames, if you're not looking at all of these charts. And let me explain why. Looking at Kadena versus BTC, the number one thing I want to highlight on this is we are very clearly bearish. This is a trend best defined on the weekly. 786 is here. You have a weekly close below the 786, you're bearish, you invalidate the trend. We've clearly already done that. Volume is exponentially increasing, the price is going down, while your oscillators like the money flow indicator and the RSI are heading down. So we don't have any types of bullish divergence at this moment in time. In fact, you might be able to argue that there's some divergence coming in on the money flow indicator. I would not take it to the bank, especially with what's going on in the altcoin markets. I've been showing this chart in my altcoin videos, and you can see this is the Bitcoin chart on a logarithmic growth curve, looking at what happened when we capitulated into the bear market of 2018. It looks exactly the same. You can see this triangle breakdown looks very similar to what we're seeing here, and the first wick below the breakdown was bought up very heavily, and this reminds me of exactly what we're seeing right here. in my opinion, in the next month or so, in the next week is my opinion, I think it's going to be coming into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think that's when we're really going to see mass capitulation on the altcoins. But I think altcoins are going to get slaughtered against their Bitcoin pairs. What does that mean? That simply means if you're holding Kadena, or if you're holding any altcoin, you're holding an altcoin that is much more risky than holding Bitcoin. And I understand why you're doing it. It's all about risk to reward. You want to increase the amount of risk that you're willing to take in order to hope that if the price goes up, you've got a better reward because you took on extra risk. Now that works if your altcoin is outperforming Bitcoin, but if you're choosing an altcoin that is underperforming against Bitcoin, it simply means you're taking on a ton of extra risk for an altcoin which is not outperforming Bitcoin. That is absolutely stupid if you ask me. You're taking on a ton of extra risk and you're basically putting money in the toilet and flushing the chain, because you can see that Kadena is going down massively against Bitcoin, and we're not getting buying volume to prop this back up. There is no one buying the dip in the macro time frame. You can see selling volume is exponentially increasing, and in my opinion KDA is going back down to the lows against the Bitcoin pair. In my opinion, I really do think that KDA could come down. I mean, we've got lows down here. If you don't believe me that we can't come down to these lows, you can see we've already started to capitulate down below these lows. We've already come down 40% this week. We're just having a buyback. So I think this is the kind of region where we can expect KDA to go down against the Bitcoin valuation. What does this mean? This means that if you're holding Kadena, then your Kadena could become 90% more expensive against the Bitcoin pair. I probably phrased that a bit wrong. What I mean by this is, if you're holding Bitcoin instead of Kadena, then hypothetically, if we do come down to these lows, you would be able to use that same amount of Bitcoin to buy, 53 to 90% more Kadena. So if you had, I don't know the exact conversion rate, let's just make it easy and say 1 Bitcoin equals 100 Kadena. I know it absolutely does not, but I'm just saying it to make this video simple and keep the maths very simple. So you've got 1 Bitcoin that's worth 100 Kadena, right? If the price goes down 90%, and that means that Kadena becomes 90% cheaper against Bitcoin, that would mean that instead of buying 100 Kadena for your 1 Bitcoin, you'd be able to buy 190 Kadena after Kadena capitulates. And in my opinion, Kadena is getting ready for that capitulation. It is not just Kadena. I think I've been making this on all of my altcoin videos. It sucks to say, I hate being a cryptocurrency channel and having to flip to a bearish stance. I'd much rather be moonboy bullish all the time. I'd get more views in a bull market. I'd get more likes. But I'm just looking at this objectively, and it does seem like, at least in my opinion, I could be wrong. I do not have a crystal ball. I'm not going to get every single call right. I'm just looking at the data. I'm looking at this from a probability perspective, and in my opinion, according to my TA, following my trading plan, I think that Bitcoin is going to massively outperform all of the altcoins, and that is already what Bitcoin is doing in the past couple of months for Kadena. The warning signs are here. KDA is capitulating against the USD. In my opinion, Kadena against the US dollar has probably another 63% or more to come down to, and considering the BTC pair is saying that Kadena could come down 50% or potentially 90%, that would mean that Kadena could get massively slaughtered, and perhaps it could even move down to these kind of regions, back down to the lows. 29 cent for Kadena could be on the table. My first kind of my first price target that I definitely think Kadena is moving down to is this box that we've got down here between $1 and 78 cents. Would I be buying the dip? Absolutely not. I've been saying this for the longest period of time. I'm a very patient trader, and because we've been very patient on Kadena, we've watched this go from $6.50 all the way down to $2.20, and it's gone lower than that, and I still think we're going lower. So the beauty of this is, at some point Kadena is going to break out, and at that point we are going to be buying the breakout, while the noobs of crypto have been saying buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, and they've been DCAing since $10. We've been sitting on the sidelines, we've been very patient, and because of that we're going to get a much cheaper price when we do jump into Kadena than everyone else who's been DCAing non-stop this whole time to the downside. So be very, very cautious. I'm just letting you know my trading plan. I think it's much better to buy Bitcoin when we're in these mass capitulation fear events. This is just my opinion. This is my trading plan. I'm letting you know what I am doing. Always do your own due diligence, do your own research. This is not financial advice. As always, I hope you found some value in this video. I hope that if you do hold a bunch of altcoins, that you do come over to TradingView. You know, if you hold ETH, just type in ETH BTC. If you hold Kadena, just type in KDA BTC and go and compare these altcoin pairs with the BTC pairs, because like I said, if your altcoin is underperforming against Bitcoin, you're taking on tons of extra risk and you're losing money for no reason whatsoever. Buying the dip when we're about to enter a mass capitulation event is horrible advice. That's just my opinion. I'd be waiting for a trend reversal. I'm only buying the dip on Bitcoin because I believe that Bitcoin is going to be around for the next 10 to 20, 30 years. Is KDA, is all of these altcoins going to be around in the next 10, 20 years? Probably not. If you don't believe me, click on my YouTube channel, click on playlists, click on microdosing Bitcoin. I have a video called top 2017 altcoins versus top 22 altcoins. I'm not going to spoil the whole video, but just so you know, out of those top 25 altcoins, only 8 made it into this cycle. How many of them do you think are going to make it into the next cycle? I'd imagine the trend is going to be your friend, and altcoins that are in the top 50, top 100 are going to get replaced by new technology, new meme coins, new dog coins, new move to earn coins, and the cycle keeps on moving. We keep on innovating, things are going to keep on moving up, and the old projects are going to keep on moving down over time. I think Bitcoin is the only one that's here to stay, maybe Ethereum. Anyway, that's all I've got. Hope you found some value in this. Cowboy out. Peace.